Hi, welcome to Culture of Paint. In this episode, we're going to take a look at what's caught our eye over the last few weeks in the miniatures painting world. For our main topic, we're going to discuss the idea of only doing one kind of hobby thing for the rest of forever and how that might play out. And then we'll close out the show, as usual, taking a look at what the paint cultists have been up to. Now, Culture of Paint's aimed at a mature audience. We might use explicit language and discuss adult themes. Now let's talk about paint. Right, and we're coming back in. That's lovely. Look at everybody in the chat. Loads of people. Those new familiar names.
Hello,
a few new ones.
people of the internet.
Troublemakers. That's all good. Right, good evening, everyone. I'm Henry, and joining me as usual are Matt, Andy, and Rich. Hello, chaps. How are we doing?
All good, mate.
Good.
Yeah.
Really sorry if I sneeze massively in a second. I've got it right there. Hang on.
Bless
We
you.
good. Right. Oh, what's caught your eye over the last few weeks? Matt, pop some slides up.
Hang on. Yeah. No, not good at this.
No, I can't do it. It's gone.
No.
Right.
Is everybody okay?
It's everybody. Long way from okay, mate, but it's got tiny models to paint. It's all right.
This is true. This is fair.
Right. First up,
what's
we
been
have-
catching our eye recently? It's been a few weeks since the last one. Did a couple in Jan, then we had a little break, and we should be back for a few in Feb. First, this account, man. Again, the powerhouse of Scandinavian hobby, goodness. It is a group of Finnish painters, hobbyists, and they do sort of various games, do Heresy, do AOS, and I don't know what it is, whether it's there's definitely a style, right? There's like a Nordic style to mini painting. I don't know what it is. It's you see it in all the artwork, you see it in miniatures, see whatever, and it just, I love it. I love all of it. I love everything they do. And this is like one of those accounts, like when you find a new band and it turns out they got like 10 albums out. So yeah, really, really cool. Really, really recommend going and checking them out. But yeah,
What game is it? Silent Hill.
Yeah, that's the Pyramid Head thing, right?
Pyramid Head. I've just been staring at the whole time, going, "What fucking computer game is that?" Silent Hill.
Also in I can't remember which one of the films it was. The Resident Evil films. They have something similar.
Nice.
One of those juggernaut things.
Must be a trope or something. I don't know. I'm not saying my nerd creds are terrible. If it's not Warhammer or Lord of the Rings, I don't really know much about it. But I do love the fact that this kit, was the biggest kit in Warhammer, as in physically, mass-wise, and all the rest of it. And now it's tiny, and people just do units of them and just convert them up, whatever.
Super cool.
It is super cool. Hey,
I would do giants. I think they're wicked. I like the new ones as well.
Mate, I think it's an amazing. Kind of on topic, really. Like, be an amazing army to do. Like, I think that you're right. That new big one. Have you built one yet?
No.
It's lovely.
Is it?
Matt has built lots of them.
No, you don't need the full kit. Just get rid of everything there below. You don't need it.
But yeah, because they added a couple more variations, didn't they? Relatively recently.
Yeah, there's like the king, the
King
like,
Broad,
giant king.
Another.
Yeah.
But it's lovely. Like you can get. I think an army's usually like 3 big ones and a couple of little ones. So you can easily like have 0 replication. Across that,
except in the feet.
Yeah, I guess it's
all the same pose.
But if you orient it differently, right, so that the angle you look at it front on is significantly, because the torsos change a bit, don't they?
But they all go in the same position.
Yeah, no, they're all a bit pigeon-toed, aren't they? Sort of.
There's no fucking pleasing some people.
Do you know, mate? Just cut them off at the shin and stick them all walking through a lake or something.
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah, just even to do the ankles.
Yeah, they're still big enough.
Yeah.
You'd be laughing. But yeah, it's a wicked account. Like I said, they got a ton of Heresy content on there as well, and it's just I think it just shows what can happen when you get a group of like-minded hobbyists together. Like they just sort of thrive and riff off each other, and you just end up with just amazing stuff to share. It's like the Iron Sleek guys, or that Pilgrim project that a few of them did quite a while ago now.
There's something in the Scandinavian water.
Right, there's just a look or a vibe, and
Or
it's,
it's like
I'm here for it.
the fact that the sun doesn't come out for like half the year, maybe.
Well, I wonder whether it's because there's a fairly rich like folklore, isn't there? And I know we're being quite generic here, like Scandinavia, but you know, the Nordics, it's all that bit.
Everything that way.
Yeah, as far as I can gather, they're all basically the same, bar Finland, which are really weird. So there we go. Anyway, enough of that casual racism, and let's move on to the next pick. I think I had 2 this week. I did. Sort of other end of the spectrum, really.
Different for you.
Amazing. I love this painter, this account, this artist. I think they're wonderful, and this just really caught my eye. Obviously, I really like looking at Andy's Eldar stuff, and he's been doing a load with that recently. But it's just, I like that take. I like the idea of maybe doing them all similar colours, and I think it just shows off what a ridiculously good range of miniatures they are.
I mean, they're the best colour, so
it's just great, right? It's just a really, really nice take on it, and I always enjoy seeing like top tier painters do their armies as well.
All of the kill teams that he's done have been like amazing. I think I've probably picked 1 or 2 of them.
Right, and this is that new one, right, where you can have various aspects, but
the front 2 are just guardians, and then the benches are at the back. But the new Eldar kill team is a mix of a couple of different aspects, which is really cool.
He's using the Guardians as Dire Avengers, though.
I was going to say, I wondered if that was what.
That was a good way of doing it. Much nicer and newer.
But yeah, just lovely. And as I say, he's been around a while, and he's good.
It's very good as his other post this week, though, is it?
Yeah. What was the I saw that. What was it?
All the spell singers.
Oh no, that wasn't the one I saw. There's something else he's put out recently, an army painting thing. I can't remember what it was.
Everything he paints
is
all
the metal
great.
characters.
Nice. Yeah, is it the spell singer? No. What was the Eldar? The bone something? The one that was on that lovely bit of Wraithbone. Only ever came out as a beautiful, like, yeah.
Nice, good picks, man.
Lovely. So yeah, that's my picks. That's what we've got. And as usual, everything we feature, all the accounts feature and stuff will pop down in the description, so you can go check them out for yourselves.
Wicked.
Cool.
Next up is my one.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Nice.
So good. I was doing the old scroll through the thing, and this popped up. So it's sort of centered around the Siege of Varax, Death Guard, trenches, proper Forge World, old sort of style.
There's a couple of old Forge World engineers in there.
Yeah. It's everything that 40k is missing. Basically.
Yeah, it's certainly the 40k I love.
It's that big modern era.
Was it the Forge World Masterclass book? I can't remember if it's 1 or 2 that has the trench in like gun emplacement. That one. Yeah.
Is it 2's got the gun emplacement? I can't remember.
It's either 1 or 2.
Me and Andy were literally having this conversation in Warhammer World, like on
I think
Sunday or
one
Monday.
focuses a little bit more on individual models, doesn't it? And 2 focuses a little bit more on dioramas and boards. But there's
I think it's
plenty
2.
Of
might be 2.
2, you got that.
But it's just
that one's
so good. That
might have to be 1 then. But yeah,
I saw the original Thunderbolt diorama again the other day up at Nottingham.
Yeah, it's cool, isn't it?
Yeah, man's a legend. It's a great choice, mate.
I just love it. And he is packed. Like if you go on his account, he has so many like whip shots of other stuff. There's so much detail in it, like little shrines of like to the Emperor and all that, and just like little cutout. It's just so good.
Yeah, nice, great choice.
Nice. Trenches are tricky, aren't they? Like from a gaming point of view. Like the table, like you've got to really buy into it to make a trench board, right? Otherwise, you end up with them where they're sort of raised up and they're not trenches. I don't hate that, but
yeah, you have to get them into the table.
Right, you got to dig him in, and that's proper commitment, then, isn't it? That's the
big old slab of foam.
Yeah.
Yeah, foam's not too bad. I had an idea once I can't remember what kill team. There's a kill team board. I think it was into the dark one. I had an idea to turn the Into the Dark into a giant trench work. So then actually put soil on the top of them, so it looks like the whole Into the Dark was actually in a trench.
There was a weird one they did for Kill Team, sort of Kill Team. That thing they did a board for Goblin Town up at Warhammer World when the Hobbit movies came out. They did the board for it, and then it was going to get chucked, and they changed it into a Kill Team board that you can go and play on. I thought it was a good idea. But yeah, so someone was talking about Zone Mortalis the other day, and how when it was first discussed, it didn't just mean spaceships. The idea was it just meant some horrendous close quarter environment.
Yeah.
You sort of saw slightly more interesting takes on it, I think, than just as cool as the spaceship thing is. Don't get me wrong.
That's what you want. Close combat, 40k,
and a million coffee stirrers, right? That's how you do the.
Yeah,
you do all the trench.
Go to Costa and grab a handful every time you go.
Greg's, they have so many of them. Just go in there.
The Costa ones are really
cheese and bean slicer, Greg's. So
there are different thickness though. The Costa ones are so thin.
Best one. You're the only one who agrees to me that cheese and beans are best one.
Oh, S tier, cheap snackage.
Everyone's like, that's gross.
Just the sausage roll.
Yeah, mate, it's making it sausage roll. So basic, mate.
It's
got to be
pale beige goodness.
Why am I not surprised, Matthew? Why am I not?
I don't know. Just don't look up the ingredients in them because it's disgusting.
I'd also like to shout out Warhammer World for putting fennel seed on their sausage rolls. That's a little bit of an upgrade.
Nice. Next step, stock your shelves. It'd be even better. What we got
next?
Trench warfare. Big fans. Big fans in the chat.
No, Will, it's not okay to admit you like historical.
Yes, it is.
It's all right. That's coming later, mate. Don't worry.
Only vehicles.
There's a great big slab of ignorance coming up later on in the episode for you. Right. What are the picks we got, mate?
Oh, this is me.
Oh, nice.
So my pick for this week is a little company called Enviral Games. So I unfortunately missed them from the show we did about small manufacturers. They're a British-based gaming company who they just before Christmas they dropped their first game, Novus Malum, and I got a copy of it, and I just thought it was really, really great. It's especially for me. I don't tend to spend too much time looking at the smaller company stuff. I'm a big Games Workshop fanboy, so seeing this was really cool, and seeing the really hard work that they've put into creating it. It's a little skirmish-based game. Just turn-based skirmish game. They've done the rules, they've done the miniatures, they've done the whole thing, and it was great. It was a really fun little project that I worked on over Christmas and played a little bit of, and yeah, so I decided to chuck it up on here. They're a really cool company because they're trying to become a like carbon neutral miniatures company, so
nice.
not actually have any kind of negative impact in what they do, and the quality of it is brilliant too. Like the book and the backstory and everything is awesome. So yeah, that was my pick. Also, if you go check out the Instagram page and if you go on and order the game, you get 5% discount with our discount code, which is COP1, which will be in the description and stuff after the show. So give them a
that's on point with that as well, because that's the climate change thing as well, isn't it?
The bang on that drum.
When you get the hashtag COP thing trending, COP paint's doing well this week. Oh no, hang on.
Yeah,
it's not, but that's awesome, mate. Seeing a buddy doing well in the sphere, in the industry, that's really, really nice. And there's definitely an appetite, right? I think we'll talk about it in this episode for these, for skirmish games, basically.
Yeah, everyone knows I love a skirmish game.
Yeah,
so it's cool. Check it out.
Talk amongst yourself for just 30 seconds.
Oh, talk about stuff.
While I get the meme ready.
Oh.
Were you having a forgetful time, Matthew?
I was talking to Ben today. I think one of the things I like the most about skirmish games is the idea of you can do a really cool board for it. and then it hasn't got to be a 6x4 or whatever weird sizing Games Workshop stick things on now. I was talking to Ben, sort of how he's got that classic. Like for me, that I don't think wargaming visually will ever be more appealing than that flocked green, thick foam. Trees that are made out of clump foliage.
Even that for me was before my time.
But what's your version of that then? Like, is it the Cities of Death scenery? Like, right? Yeah, because we was talking about that. How it seems to be at the minute. Like, whenever I pop on the socials, seems to be a real thing at the minute for fluoro paints and doing smoke, like big smoke plumes, that are using prints, or casts or whatever of smoke plumes, and they look amazing. Like they really do. But for me, like I don't like it as much as the tea light in the cotton wool painted
it
like that.
It depends on the game. I think 40k the tea light in the cotton wool for when you kill a tank, take the turret off, and put the little cotton wool thing in. That's just wicked.
Perfect.
I've been for kill team and stuff. I've been using little incense cones and hollowing out the funnels from the chimneys and stuff and putting them in and lighting it. So a little bit of actual smoke coming out the top.
Right. That's amazing.
But they get really hot and they do melt. So just be careful.
Yeah, well, I was going to say you can get the ones that run cold. You can get the little smoke things, can't you, that run cold with the pellets.
It has to be the large 6x4 sheets of just flat static grass.
Oh yeah,
that's what you want. No terrain.
They're weird.
Books and DVDs underneath it to try and make hills, that sort of thing.
Hardboard.
Yeah, well, that's proper gaming club then, isn't it? Fucking 6x4 spray green chipped up bit of chipboard. Yeah. Right. So, any more picks this week? Right. So,
we have a meme.
On to meme. We do have a meme, and I think it's safe for work.
It is safe. It is.
I didn't pick it.
Got this. Yeah, just love it. It's just perfect. This was basically the conversation I had with Ben, our commissions chief, yesterday morning. A very, very experienced airbrusher who wasn't having a good time. Just trying to spray light colours, but
I have a love-hate relationship with airbrushing. I love it when it goes well, but when it goes wrong, it's the most fucking infuriating thing ever. And you thought, I've been doing it for fucking years. I thought I'd be better at it by now. Even just the paint consistency, the amount of times I just fuck it up.
I've been having absolute nightmare with the polyurethane primer. Didn't realise it goes off.
Goes off, mate. Yeah, you need to get your tights out.
Didn't know. And I was just like,
wait, what?
Going through.
So the polyurethane primer, the plastic, the polyurethane, the resin goes off in it over time. So you get lumps and strings of primer in it.
In the spray cans?
No, in the airbrush.
Why aren't you using a can, you maniac?
I know. That's question one, obviously.
Because don't like cans. Bad for the environment, innit?
Well, how's your airbrushing priming going then?
Yeah.
I gave up. I just put bad and black in it and just went, that'll do.
It will. Plastic is fine. Yeah. So you need to check. So you've got to strain it or just don't use it. Just use a wrap.
Or just don't use it. Just fucking use a spray can like any normal person.
There you go.
I always mess up spray cans. Always. I always get.
So
I don't
you're
know
the
how.
problem.
I am the problem.
Well, you can just decant your spray can if you want into the lid and then do that in the airbrush.
I always get worried when you're trying to do it on a piece that really matters to you, because the last time I did it, I think there was a bit too much the butane stuff in it, and it just went onto the model and started melting it. And I was like, oh, great.
Well, that's harsh. I love it, mate. Thicker the better for me at the minute. Cuts out the remove the mold line stage. Just gets it on there. Yeah. Everything's a filler primer if you put enough of it on there. Right. So if that's it for memes and stuff we've seen, we can roll, I think, straight into the main. That's my Vallejo primary shite. That's exactly what it is, Connor. Because you've no idea how long it's been on the shelf before you've bought it or whatever. So if you need to, you get a pair of tights or a mega fine sieve thing, but it's easy to just go and buy a cheap pair of tights. Put it over another bottle, decant it into it, and it will sieve out all the stuff that's gone off in it, and then you can keep using it.
Basically, when it looks like separated milk, it's time to get rid of it.
But a lot of the time you can't see it either, right?
Just buy a colourful spray can.
Oh yeah, fantasy towns. Oh, more time boards. Oh my goodness, right. Yeah, scenery. Right, main topic, going all in. So this is something that had been going around my brain, something I've been chatting about with my hobby group about, and I thought it might make an interesting topic to have a natter about on here, and I have asked our Discord and our Patreon for their thoughts as well, which we'll come to later on. But essentially, you know, as I find my personal hobby time dwindling by the week, this sort of idea of I'm probably not going to get that many hobby projects done ever, realistically, before I can no longer paint. And this sort of everyone's got those friends. We've got a mutual friend, us, like a guy called Andy Dixon, runs Greetings from the Warp, who's got like 1 billion points of Imperial Fists. And if it's not Imperial Fists, it's Tomb Kings. And if it's not Tomb Kings, then he doesn't give a shit. And I've always been jealous of that level of like tunnel vision for hobbying. And I suppose it's a sort of companion episode to the one we did really, really early on. I think maybe season 1 or very early season 2, where we talked about Rich being quite a hobby butterfly, and the sort of pros and cons that come with that. So here I thought we could sort of have a chat about the idea of actually the pros and cons of being that sort of monogamy hobbyist. Sort of what kind of projects exist, what ranges, what gaming systems, if gaming is what drives it, what sculptors perhaps that you could think to yourself, do you know what? If that's all I could paint for the rest of forever, it would tick all the boxes. I would improve as a painter. I would enjoy. I would stay motivated. I would have something done, so on and so forth. So yeah, so I thought we'd have a natter about it, and I kind of broke it down into what I think are the sort of headline ways of perhaps going about it. And I think it'd be remiss not to talk about Marines, because they have come up when we've discussed this before as to why Marines so amazing. But yeah, the theme idea of just a strong sort of linear theme. So for this example, a Space Marine chapter. So for this, we've got the amazing photo from mid-90s of when Games Workshop painted up the entire Ultras chapter. And you hear a lot of people, right, wanting to do it. So that's like one of their hobby bucket list things, right? Yeah, I want to paint the whole... I mean, fuck knows how it works now with Primaris. I don't know what that means. I assume chapters are still 1,000. I don't know.
Yeah, there's still 1,000, but there's chapters that are a mix of Primaris and Firstborn, and then there's some chapters that are just Primaris Marines. Gotcha.
But you can still collect a chapter of Marines, right? So it's essentially Marines. It's the theme idea here. Sort of. Now, what is it that makes them so appealing to people, even though it's ostensibly the same fucking model 1,000 times? You know, where are you getting that satisfaction from?
Sheer tisms.
Probably part of it. It's tough. I think these days, I think it's less that, because there's so many variations, armor marks and all that. But looking at those photos, like those Marines are literally all exactly the same sculpt and exactly the same pose. There's literally no variation. So whoever did this is a fucking psychopath.
Well, this in fairness was, I believe, like,
shops, wasn't it?
all the stores had to do a squad or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, it's just a personal thing. I'm obviously obsessed with Marines. I always have been. They were always the thing that caught my fancy when I came in. And for me, the reason I just want to do Marines forever is because they were the thing that brought me into the hobby, I think, is part of it. I would argue that I think a lot of people would pick the thing that got them into the hobby, because for me, I get that like nostalgic buzz from doing Marines. And if I take a break from them for a while, I always tend to want to go back to them again. I think I like the idea of painting an entire chapter. It would be really cool. And then when we were in Warhammer World at the weekend and we were at the display, they had all the Ultramarines. I'm not even the biggest Ultramarine fan, but I was looking at them all going, God, if I could have anything out of this room, it'd be this cabinet that had all the new, and like it had every Space Marine model basically in Ultramarines. I was like, I would fucking love to have this.
Right.
And what was my counter argument to that?
Your counter argument was like, I think you just literally said fucking no way or something like that.
No, I was pointing at the units going, crap,
oh, yeah,
crap,
no, we're
crap,
yeah, shit,
crap,
shit.
crap. That bit's good, though.
It's definitely one, right, that, I mean, there'll be a lot of crossover with some of these kind of themes, or whatever you want to call it, headings for them, because I think any project that is going to keep you going essentially forever, you know, or allowing you to be, you know, so tunnel visioned with it all. And we've spoken about Marines a lot in the past, and what is that draw? And I think it's because they are the sort of full package. They do have things that appeal to a lot of different mindsets. So, you know, like one of the things that's come up in a few of the comments people have made on the Discord, and particularly on the Patreon, is this idea of, in a way, if you know what you've got to paint, then it removes to a degree that sort of whole analysis paralysis element, right?
Yeah,
and you could whittle that down. You know, it could be an underworld warband, right? I was talking to Ben about it today. He was like, oh, you know, if I paint 4 cruel boys, what I've got is a failed unit of cruel boys for Age of Sigmar, or I can paint 4 cruel boys that are this underworlds band, and I've painted an underworlds band, and I've completed it, and it's, you know, it's satisfying, and all the rest of it. And I do feel with Marines there's that, and Guard, actually they were very popular as a choice, but I think people quite like a framework to hobby within, and actually it's something I'm finding with my own painting at the minute, is having a process for painting stuff that's very step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, means you can pick up and without thinking you just paint. It's like, stop fucking stressing about it, stop trying overthinking it, pick it up and get the brown on there, right? That's what you're doing for this bit, that's what you do, and it progress, right?
I think also for Marines as well, there's an element of like achievability. Like they are, you know, if you want to paint them quite simply, they can still look quite cool. And essentially, there is just lots of armor that you need to paint. Like for me, that's one of the appeals. Like the idea, if I had to paint, I don't know, something that's got loads of cloth on it, like Guard forever. You know, it's pretty 50-50 armor and cloth. That's going to take fucking forever. So that's part of it. There's a really good comment in the chat about if you're a gamer as well. Like, that was one of the things when I was looking at, because we're getting into our gaming a lot, when I was looking at the cabinet in Warhammer World, I was thinking that it'd be sick to have that collection, so that, you know, if I want to try a different style of gaming with Marines, they can do a bit of everything. So if I want to try something slightly sneakier and not quite hammer anvil style, you know, you can take the Phobos Marines and all the different sorts of Phobos units. You could go super heavy with just as many like Land Raiders and Terminators as you wanted. If, you know, you've got variations in there, and I think you can use lots of different things in lots of different ways. That's part of the appeal for me as well. Like if I was to just paint Marines forever.
Yeah. And I don't think there's any right or wrong answers to it, but I just wanted to sort of, there must be a reason, right, that people do it, and they are out there. And I wanted to use Marines largely because I love this picture. And actually, someone's just said in the chat, where is he? Hairy Sticks painted something in here. He painted one.
Oh, cool, man!
Which is a hell of a claim to fame.
That's wicked.
Did you do any of that? Oh, what was the Orc and Praetorian one? Battle of Big Tooth River. Yeah, that'd be cool if you got
Big Tooth River.
Would you? No, you won't. You probably aren't aware of that one.
So are you mixing it up with Brokeback Mountain?
No. So let's cast our minds back to a simpler time where things were a little bit more on the nose. The studio took the Mordian Iron Guard, Imperial Guard, who were quite, you know, dress uniformy, all of this, and someone sculpted them a bunch of pith helmet heads because for their own army. It ended up being mega popular. I'm pretty sure it's the Perrys. It ended up being mega popular, so they ended up making an army set that you could buy of it. And to celebrate this, they did this massive take on what's the Michael Caine film?
Rorke's Drift.
Zulu, Rorke's Drift. Yeah.
Oh, right.
So it's kind of a take on that. And it was around the time we got a ton of new Orc miniatures as well. And it was an amazing diorama. It was like this Ultramarines one. It was the Games Day diorama.
So big.
But again, you know, a store would have to paint 20 Orc boys and a little thing or whatever. But it was Battle of Big Tooth River. Yeah, it was fucking. It was pretty epic.
What year was that?
97 maybe. 98, something like that.
Fair play.
But yeah, it was pretty amazing. But yeah, so does the idea of an entire so here we go. Would this satisfy you? Could you, for the rest of painting forever, just paint a Marine chapter?
No, I couldn't physically because my brain's a wanker and won't let me stick to one thing for more than 10 minutes. But if I had that ability to do that, then yeah, this would be what I would pick. Or if it was like a case of someone made me, like I can, like, I don't know how that would ever work in reality, but it was like you're only allowed to paint if you paint this. It would be 100% paint. I would love to paint one of just about everything in the Marine range. Maybe not some of the really old stuff, but the newer stuff I'd love to have one of everything. But I wouldn't do it as an Ultramarines chapter. If I had to paint a whole chapter, it'd be either my own chapter that I came up with, because then it's mine and no one else has done that, which I think would be sick, or Alpha Legion.
Yeah, but I mean, who wants to be known as the dude who's got the entire Line Marines chapter?
Me. I would love for that to be the case. To be fair, I would settle for 1,000 points at Line Marines, but we'll see.
No, we'll see. No, I think that's fair. What about you, Matt?
I don't think I could mentally sit there and paint a Marine for the rest of time. It would be no.
No,
I couldn't do it.
So go on. Is it because of the lack of variety there?
I mean, you can make Marines.
Yeah.
With variety, you could have an entire chapter with not a huge amount of very the same thing. It would just be really boring. Right,
there we go. Quote you on that one.
I don't even know how the studio staff can paint Marines day in, day out. It would just drive me mad.
I guess get paid for it.
Yeah, if you get paid for it, it's different thing, but I don't think you could financially recover from a chapter.
Well, I mean, with the new Epic game, it's a lot more doable. But anyway, Andy, what about you, mate? Do you reckon you could?
I'm just not interested. I think I'd rather, looking at this picture, I'd rather look at the Space Marine Strike Force box set, because you can absorb the individual miniatures better. And I'd rather just have that old school army of not even one of everything, but like a Whirlwind, 1 unit of Terminators, maybe 2 units of Tactical Marines tops, and that's far more appealing to me. I guess quality over quantity would be the priority for me. And yeah, I think if something's smaller, then you can digest the individual units more, I think that's cooler in my eyes.
Fair. Well, for what it's worth, I reckon I'm a short shove away from absolutely being okay with doing just that for the rest of forever. Pick a cool chapter and just fucking do it. And then when it's done, just walk away.
Someone has to have done it. Like
loads of people have done it, mate.
Yeah.
Loads.
Yeah, loads.
Yeah, and I think many people are on that journey. But I suppose this is viewing it more. This isn't so much, would you like to paint these models? This is viewing it from that range of, is there enough satisfaction within this narrow sphere to keep you entertained for the rest of forever? The idea behind this is all just to sort of try and remove everything that for you that isn't a 9 out of 10. Just get rid of it. What's it boil down to? What does it condense down to? What is the one thing that really keeps you going and keeps you motivated and keeps you moving with it all? And for me, if I sold everything, started again, and just painted, say, Spaceballs, I reckon I'd probably be pretty happy.
Same.
Right. So the next one. Enjoy this. Now, this is taking the idea. So if your Marines, for instance, are a touch too boring, and initially we are going sort of Warhammer focused and sort of gaming focused. For a lot of us, I think the hobby certainly began within these settings and stuff, and it's impossible to ignore the influence that they've had on it all. One of the armies that I still come back to and love looking at, whether it's the old photos, whether it's updated versions of it, or whether it's what people are doing now, is the Eldar. Are the Eldar. In all their guises, but ostensibly proper Eldar. I don't quite know how it works now, but just Eldar and Harlequins within that, right? So I think you have, I think undeniably a range that has almost always been very, very strong. So regardless of the era that you choose to do it in, it's very, very strong. But what I think back to is those again, those 90s, late 90s White Dwarf battle reports where it was a couple of units, the Guardians, Bealtan or whatever, and the vehicles in Bealtan, but then, or Ulthwé, and the rest would be, you'd have your Fire Dragons, you'd have your Swooping Hawks, you'd have your, Dire Avengers, whatever. So you're getting all these different colours to paint and all these different things to do. So yeah, an army that perhaps, or a range that perhaps offers you a lot more variety in what there is to paint. How are you feeling about that? Can I tempt you?
I think it's cool. I think
now we're talking.
Yeah, I think I agree that for me that would, again, the way that my brain works, would probably be a more sensible choice. Apart from the fact that my hobby group doesn't need any more fucking Eldar players, but the ability to change,
Too right.
like you painting a craft world, whatever your craft world is, and you go, right, I'm fucking sick of painting black, whatever it is. I'll paint some Harley Banshees. It changes it up, but it's still. My problem is when I butterfly and do something separate, I kind of get down on myself thinking, well, this is a bit of a waste of time because it's not going to end up being for anything. I should just suck it up and get on with what I'm supposed to be doing. But, with this, it kind of allows you to do that. You've got the freedom to go, well, I'm desperate, just want to paint something a different color. Let's paint some Dire Avengers, or let's paint some Warp Spiders or whatever. And you can still use it to collectively together, I think. So I think this would be an easier one to do, that's for sure.
Because of that variety.
Yeah, absolutely.
So speaking as someone who's actually doing it, Andy, how have you found that? Because so you've made the choice to paint the things traditionally, right? So the aspects in their own color and not try and combine things. How have you found that from point of view of collecting and painting it? Because it's kept you going, right? It hasn't stalled.
Loved it. Yeah, what was interesting is the different units had different degrees of enjoyment. So the least enjoyable so far was Dire Avengers. I didn't enjoy doing them at all. Mostly because of the models, actually. They need new ones. And the miniatures I liked painting the most were the Striking Scorpions, because bright green is fun. But I think what I like, the models I like the most are obviously the characters, but the black. I like painting black. It's awesome, which is ultimately why I chose Ulthwé. But yeah, for sure. I think mostly though the biggest reason is being a YouTube video maker person. This was an excuse that I could do a new video, and that was actually more important than anything else. Because I couldn't like my Sons of Horus stalled because I did a tutorial on painting a tactical marine. And that meant I couldn't do any more videos on painting tactical marines, so I never finished them. But the Eldar has allowed me to do a video how to do Banshees, how to do Fire Dragons, so I can't do how to paint Guardians again because it's been done. So a kind of different situation for me. But for sure, I'm already bored of Ulthwé and looking at other craft worlds. So there's that.
But the cool thing is, though, if you did all the aspects and you got bored of all three after playing with them, fuck it, I'm gonna pick a completely different craft world. You can take half your army, and it's still half an army.
And it's not like we've had to twist your arm particularly hard to get you to paint Eldar here for YouTube's and thingy videos. This was.
Oh no, I just mean like. What I mean is I've failed on my other armies because I've done the video, how to paint Lumineth, how to paint Sons of Horus, and then I can't do any more videos on it. So those armies haven't finished. But because there's more options for video content on Eldar, that's why they've been finished.
Interesting.
So
100%. There you go. There's another pro tip. If you want to keep going, keep your army moving, stick it, film it and stick
start
it on
a YouTube channel
and get going. And the Eldar, I mean, there's a big crossover here with the next sort of idea. Really was this something that has a lot of background material to support a project. and this is going to cross over into historicals in a bit as well. But this idea of one of the things that we've spoken about before that a lot of Warhammer setting ranges have is 10, 20, 30 years worth of artwork, of novels, of short stories, of, you know, just history, really, for you to get lost within. So again, always coming back to this idea of this isn't the conversation about what's your favorite army kind of thing. It's you can only paint this thing for the rest of forever. What does it need to have to maintain and to for me, from chatting to people about it, it seems almost quite polarizing or quite binary. The two approaches. People either need it to be massively absorbing, allowing them to fire off in a million directions, but still effectively stay within this nebulous idea of a faction or a range or whatever. And then the opposite end of the scale is people going, just tell me what to paint. Like I need my paint, much like when I ride my motorbike. Like the reason I love it the most is because you can't really think about anything else, right? Because you'll die. So but this idea of many hobbies that people choose to do that are meditative, the reason you do them is to not have to think too much. It is just to color in, and I don't mean color in this instance negatively, because obviously that can have a huge degree of skill and forethought to it anyway, but ostensibly just color these things in. And quite a few people I spoke to just been like, God, yeah, I wish if I started again, I could just like box by box it, and know where I was going with it. Because I think it's that as soon as you take the brakes off, you look slightly outside of it, it snowballs, right? And you end up with a few bits for this, a few bits for that, a few bits for this, a few bits for that, and that ends up being demotivating, right?
That I think is literally my problem, is because I've collected so much over the years and I've got so many kits. Like it's almost like when my brain does something stupid and goes, oh, do you know what would be a really sick idea for a model or an army or a kill team or whatever? I'm surrounded by it, so I can just instead, because you know sometimes when you try and be sensible, the idea will die. If you leave it a week and you think, okay, if I really still like this idea in a week or a month or whatever, then I can go and buy the thing that I need, or I'll order in, it'll come or whatever. For most of my ideas, all I have to do is go to one of the cupboards in my fucking house and go, oh, do you know what would be sick? And then go and find it. Yeah. And then go, there it is. And it just allows me to then kind of,
I think it's great, mate. Like we said in the hobby butterfly thing, I think there's a bit too much negativity surrounding that approach, because it's spin it on its head and think of it more like, right, strike while the iron's hot type thing. If you're motivated to go and paint, doesn't fucking matter. Like just go and paint it, right? Don't stress. Like
it is frustrating if you're trying to like achieve something. Like I would love like armies of things to play with because of how much I've been enjoying playing.
Absolutely. I'm not saying you shouldn't have discipline. Absolutely that's not what I'm saying. But that point perhaps comes earlier on in the process before that cupboard's filled up with all the things.
It is quite tempting, to just get the fucking rid of everything, bin it, sell it, give it away, whatever, and just almost like start from scratch and just have like that. Right, okay, cool. These are the two things that I paint, and that's what I do from now on.
Absolutely, and again, I didn't really want it to devolve too much into the sort of psychology around sort of painting, and the idea of setting expectations and painting to those expectations. Andy's Guardian number 4 in one of the squads probably isn't painted to the same standard as Glutus's trousers, but that's okay because they fulfill different things. But yeah, I am convinced there's something in this monogamy hobby thing, and I believe the thing is out there for everyone. That it is, and I don't think it's helped by particularly Games Workshop hyping the fuck out of every single thing every single week. That is completely different.
Even old crap,
right? It's just like it's tough. It's really tough.
It's super hard, man. I fall to it every time.
But because but you see, but Andy Dixon doesn't. And we're going to get Andy on to chat about actually. So he couldn't make it this week, sadly. But it doesn't bother him. Just paints another Imperial Fist.
Also, it's when you're painting like your third or fourth iteration. I get like, you know, tactical squads or something because they're like, you need a few of them or whatever. When you're like, oh, I'm painting my 5th Imperial Fist Lamb Raider. I wish. I just wish I could do that.
Maybe it depends how much you like the hobby, though, right? It must depend how much you like the hobby, because if you like the hobby less, like you're into it, but you're not obsessed, then you're probably not bothered. You'll just be more sensible and be like, yeah, I'm into this hobby, and just gradually add to it. But if you're like obsessed, you're like, I want to do Eldar, I want to do Marines, I want to do this, because you want to do all the stuff. So yeah, it definitely must change depending on how into it you are. Because I don't know how often Andy plays anymore, but it's not often, do you know what I mean? And that's going to affect it. Like if you're playing all the time, then you're going to want different armies, because I'm already bored of playing with my army because I know how it works. Happens to me every time. Spent 2 years painting my Ultramarines army, had 3 or 4 games. It's like, cool, I know how that works now. That was worth 2 years.
Time for a new one.
Yeah, I could play a different army like after 3 games every time, you know. So I would struggle with that, I think.
Just have the keys to that to the display in Warhammer World. So you're like, what do I fucking fancy today?
It'd be pretty sweet as a game, all right. So yeah, I guess my example for the supported by the background thing, for me, I think Heresy is a brilliant case in point with that. You know, you've got over 10 years worth of stuff now. You've got the old black books where we had color plates and things like that. We've obviously got the new game, the new plastic miniatures coming out for it. So you've got the new ranges. You've got 50 something novels. It's a very big sandbox, but also within it you have lovely structure. You potentially can have some end points as well. You know, sort of give you mini sort of goals to work towards within it, and keep it entertaining for 5 years. You know, I really do think you can, but it comes back to that thing with the Marines, perhaps even more so in Heresy, where there is a lot of uniformity, often a lot of uniformity within an army. People often doubling down on strong themes. You know, you've got Andy Dixon's, you know, fist, but a lot of people's fists is usually just endless waves of tactical Marines, or often breachers, things like that, right? And they all do kind of look the same. I mean, even when you got someone like our friend Mike, right, who's got that incredible White Scars army where everything is converted and free-handed and tattoos and absolutely amazing. But at the end of the day, it is still 60 jet bikes or whatever. You know, there often isn't that variety that you get perhaps in, certainly in 40k Marine armies that we think of. You know, the one Predator, the one the one tactical squad, the one scout squad, things like that. So I can appreciate that they still suffer from that downside to them. But I think, just as Andy often talks about artwork being what keeps him going, I think I've pretty much narrowed it down for me to being stories.
I agree with that.
I'll probably stick with it.
Yeah, I think so. Or I think for me, it's a little bit of everything. I like, you know, the models I always obviously have to enjoy. The color scheme has to be a balance of achievable, but that I think looks cool. And then what the reason why I'm painting, like what about them, what background, all that kind of stuff.
Let me stop you there on that, so it doesn't devolve into how do you paint a Space Marine army for Heresy. But if you're thinking about this as this is what you're painting for the rest of forever, there might be some months or some years where you really want to focus on your painting skills. So you want to improve your techniques, you want to improve your theory. Does a Space Marine army forever, does it offer you that opportunity?
Yeah,
I think so. You know, you pick some of those character models, right? You know, or you go down the route that, you know, we like the military modeling stuff. You've got a lot of vehicles there that are big enough that you could do all sorts of the cool effects and things that we enjoy on them, right?
Definitely.
Couldn't do that with Eldar.
I don't know. How to piss off just about everyone is do like a historically painted Eldar army.
What, metal chipping?
Yeah,
they love a bit of that. Absolutely love a bit of that.
Okay, why not?
So yeah, so that was my example for the sort of the supported by the background style, which brings me on to the last sort of, I think, overarching focus or theme of the monogamy hobby, and that is historical recreation. Now, or what's the word I'm looking for?
I'd rather not do the hobby.
Copying, I guess. Copying's the wrong word. So it's recreating.
Representing?
No, recreating. So I've chosen to say historicals there because obviously that's a very easy concept to get your head around. All right, okay, we're going to fight Waterloo. We know exactly who was at Waterloo. We know all the colours of the things that are at Waterloo. Blah blah blah. So you've got a really clear where you're going to go with it, and that ticks a lot of people's boxes, right? You have basically no free will when it comes to painting this, even down to the point of the paint is called it's this name, so this is the one you're using on here. And that's it, I think, in its most rigid, structured form you've got. But you can extrapolate slightly, right? You could do something like Lord of the Rings, where certain forces were at certain elements within the book or the movie. I think the game is based on it, right? So again, you know that you aren't going to have to paint more than X of orc with spear because that's all there ever was. So you do it all with spear.
I think the historical stuff especially appeals to, in my head, how do I say that? This is probably going to be a really bad way of saying it, but it's just slightly different neurodiversity traits. Is like the freedom of conformity, or the freedom of it has to be thus, because that's something that I've found in interacting with historical painters, whether it's for armies or display or whatever. The amount of it was like this, therefore it has to be like this, and I think that would be quite. There's a part of me that can understand how that could be quite kind of freeing or like easy, because I can't deviate and I can't use my imagination because it wasn't true, and I'm trying to create something that was real and has existed. My problem is I've got my imagination goes to fucking doolally and I've got too many ideas. Whereas if it's like, well, that's redundant because I've just got to paint.
Well, when you bring out your clear red Napoleonics.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. With like pink hats and shit. So yeah, I can see why it appeals, but yeah, it's just how people's brains work, I think. Or like it's like almost like an homage to something that has actually happened. So, that I think is a different element to it as well. You're trying to represent something that actually happened to real people. I'd imagine some people think of that side of it as well.
Yeah, I hadn't to be honest, I hadn't considered that element of it. I was trying thinking more of it, more in the sense of, is it any weirder? Weird is a really terrible word to use for it. Is it any different to going, right, I'm going to collect the British forces from Waterloo, to I'm going to paint the entire Ultramarines chapter?
I think it's really different, yeah.
Because
of the specificity of it. Like, okay, if I'm going to paint Ultramarines, I could still pick between fucking 15 different blues. I could pick different trims.
No, you can't. It's got to be the right blue.
The blue.
Otherwise, it's not accurate.
Yeah, potentially.
According to some.
Well, so before
those people should go and collect some Napoleonic infantry.
Before we start arguing on this one and insulting the one person who likes historicals that watches our show, please come on as a guest because you don't have any fucking idea what we're going on about. The other recreation side of things is, I've known painters, particularly since we've been more involved in the competition side of things and display painting. I've known many painters who learn by recreating pieces that people they admire have done. And sometimes they get to a point and it feels like that's all they do is just replicate what someone else has done. And rather than looking at that negatively as plagiarism or whatever you want to call it like that, actually go, well, is that any different to being in painting and wanting to try and, the paint by numbers thing, right? That people again find very, very relaxing, to try and replicate something done by a famous piece or whatever.
I think that one's a bit of a strange one. I get it. I don't, but by the way, I don't understand how people find enjoyment in that. Like, I understand, I understand that they want to do it. Excuse me, sorry, and they're not like ripping them off, and they're just doing it because they love that piece. But I cannot. That's one thing I don't think I would ever conceivably be able to do is, like, if it's for an army that's already exists, like like Ultramarines as an example again, like fair enough. But if it's a very like specific piece where it's like posed the same, painted the same, I have no idea why people would find that appealing to just kind of copy.
And that's okay, right? But you, classic, what's it called, box art wanker.
Yeah,
where you're copying a box art, because all the flips are, like I say, is where someone is trying to become a display painter that potentially places at competitions. They will often find the style that they like. They'll identify the masters of that style
and copy it,
and then copy it,
or copy
until
it
they
and
get
place higher than that person.
But to understand it too, right? Because that's how a lot of people learn. Is to do that. There's an awful lot of people out there that can paint incredibly well technically, but ain't got a fucking clue about, say, color theory or whatever. But they have artwork to use as a reference, or they have whatever, and they'll produce amazing looking things. There's nothing wrong with that, right?
I think particularly part of it's almost like a lack of imagination, as in they want to replicate it because they love what it looks like, but they can't come up with the ideas themselves.
I think that's a too negative way of looking at it.
That's like a good thing about the hobby.
Education, right? You're just assuming, like, it'd be like you, I don't know, walking up to a bridge and going, "I don't fucking know how you make a bridge," and I'll be like, "Oh, you fucking idiot, Rich."
Yeah, maybe.
Like, it's a skill.
That is
right?
the great thing about this hobby, right? Is that you don't have to be artistic or creative. You can find something that you want to do, and if you look at a Primaris Ultramarine heavy metal and you like it, just copy that and that's it. And it's not my personal choice, but it's super cool because anyone can do that, and that's a really nice thing about our hobby rather than getting into traditional art, is you can probably make a model look good quicker than you can maybe learn to paint a face realistically well.
Possibly. I don't know. There's an awful lot of tools out there, right? There's an awful lot of education out there for traditional, canvas art or whatever we're talking about here. I imagine sculpture's possibly the hardest thing. I don't know. I'm only saying a couple of my friends are traditional artists and stuff like that, and one of them is completely self-taught, and they sell pieces they make a living from it. And they learned by copying different artists until they understood how to create what they were creating, and then go their own way and do this, that, and the other. Again, that wasn't really the point of this one, but it was. I just think it's important. It's legitimate, right? It's not. I'm not wanting to look at it from a negative standpoint. But what I kind of hope it's highlighted is this is, and someone said earlier in the chat, it's like listening to an ADHD support group, and they are totally here for that. It is an incredibly difficult question to ask because everyone's coming at it from a different point of view, right?
Yeah.
And we're in a place now where the variety is just enormous. 10 years ago, okay, I'm interested in painting 75mm miniatures. That's what I want to do. Okay, well, here is your historical range and an orc. It's kind of, and now you've got umpteen different manufacturers producing wonderful large scale, miniatures and things like that. And the same with gaming miniatures and all the rest of it. So that and the same with product. You've got more educational material than there's ever been. You've got 1,000,001 different paints and products to use to get there. I think it becomes more difficult the more options you're given. To sort of go, this is what I need to is what I need to focus on.
Yeah, it's true.
This is what I need to do. But we're going to have a little chat in a minute about if we were sort of gun to our head, what would we pick, or what do we think are a good option for painting for the rest of that? Again, coming from the point of view as painters, not gamers, certainly just as painters, what will we do? But I might talk a little bit about the Project 20 idea in a bit, but we'll see. So Matt, I think the next slide, what we've got, let's get rid of those lovely BH1 plastics. There we go. So yeah, for my money, I reckon Warhammer Chaos has you covered.
Yeah.
Basically,
that's a good shout.
I think you could, particularly given the last few years, with things like Warcry and stuff as well, giving you all these amazing little barbarian themed warbands. I reckon I could paint nothing but Age of Sigmar Chaos miniatures for probably 2-3 years. I reckon I'd be a better painter by the end of it. And it would be ostensibly be a cohesive collection, if that's important to you, which it is to me. For these, games that I'm always playing, I want to have that army for them. But I think from a painting point of view, I reckon this is the one. Yeah,
it's a good shout because you've got. Go on.
I was going to say one thing, is how narrow is the Monoga hobby you're going for? Because I think for Rich, if he could just paint Space Marines forever, I think he'd find that easy. But if he could only paint one Space Marine chapter, I think you'd find that basically impossible. And I think Chaos would be an amazing thing to do if you could pick anything under that title Chaos. But if you were you can only do Khorne Demons, it would be Death. So I guess it's, and we said Andy just paints Imperial Fists for Heresy. And again, I think I could do just Heresy and I'd be pretty entertained. But sticking to just one color scheme, I think that'd be solid. I think Chaos offers enough variation because you could do something, for every Chaos god. You could do all the Zinch stuff or the Sinesh, etc. But if you're actually only doing one Chaos god, then it's way harder. So I think it's how strict are we defining this? And I think, the best example is Rich could 100% only do Marines. But I think if he could only do one chapter, he would struggle, as proven.
Yeah.
And same for me. And if someone said you can only do Eldar, I'd be like, yeah, all right. But if it was only one craft world, I'd be like, nah. And that's it, I guess.
Yeah, it's a good pick though, Emily, because you could to your point about learning and getting a better painter. If you were right, I just want to slap a bit of paint on for the fun of it, you could just paint your basic dudes and do a fairly quick job and not worry about it too much. If you're right, I want to go to town, you go, right, cool, Archaea, let's get that on the desk and fucking see what I can do with it,
But even within that, as I try to approach it from very honestly, from where I want to improve my own painting. That's what I enjoy the most is when I see my skills, or whatever you want to call it, improve. That's where I get the most satisfaction. I don't get the same satisfaction of just finishing something. That's cool and it's fine, but so I love learning new skills. It's as simple as that. I would much rather learn a new skill and execute it really well, and then move on and learn another new skill and execute that really well. And I feel like I could probably quite quickly get to a point with, say, a Marine army where I simply couldn't do a better job. I think the ceiling is, well, it's not, the ceiling's not right, but the scope for it is much narrower.
I think it's more narrow than
no
say a
skin.
Chaos one. But, that's why I like it.
But the also coming from the point of view of being a blatant Warhammer fan, I think Chaos is great in the sense because, just as you said, Rich, you can do an army, you can do characters. Again, another discussion we have. Or I could do an Underworlds warband to a really, really high level, whilst also painting a Warriors of Chaos army to a army painting level, whilst also doing Archaon as a 4-year project. A David Soper style project. It's I think as a range, I think it offers, and that's only in the last couple of years. Pardon me.
Yeah,
I think the
Well,
Warcry
that's
stuff.
probably one of the most. I was going to say that's the most important thing about choosing what would be good for it is how well supported is it? Because we looked at that ancient Eldar box set, and there's still current models there, and that's a big issue. And I've got this book here, and I'd happily probably just do these, but they've killed them, so they're no good. So that's why Marines are so good, because they're constantly getting new stuff. And Chaos as well. Like these are new models, and just Warcry offers amazing stuff. So one of the most important things I think is how well supported is it.
I think, and I think
if
for a
other
lot
stuff
of people,
was newer.
yeah, for a lot of people that's important, isn't it? And for myself included, I enjoy that little bit of hype that you get occasionally. I find it motivating. There's plenty of people that are giving suggestions that they don't give a shit about that. They almost see it as liberating to have to just switch off from all that crap now, and I can just paint my Kev Adams orcs from, which is, I think, the best suggestion that's coming. But yeah, so that's my one. Matt, I think was Rich's next. Did we have a few? We did.
Crikey. Yeah, so Space Marines would be my pick personally. Obviously, as we said, the new they get the newest stuff, the newest range, all that kind of stuff. I personally would pick, probably, if I had to gun to my head, do one chapter or one thing for it, would be Alpha Legion. I would do Alpha Legion forever. I've probably done about 5 different iterations of
models
of them. I've done they're my favorite by far, and I love the story behind it and everything. So
that's what it is. It's the full package again. It's that.
Yeah, because I love the colours and I love the way the scheme and everything. But I also love,
just change your mind if you want to, can't you?
Yeah, exactly. I could just paint a Dark Angel and call it an Alpha Legion. But
mate, I legit considered that at one point. But when we all first discovered chipping fluid and hairspray and all of that, it's like, oh my god, I could just fucking paint everything Alpha Legion and then paint it another Legion and just like that. Job done.
Yeah. But then they hold the I buy into the story and I love the background, which for me adds to why you want to paint them. And you could paint them as a kill team. You could paint an army of them. You could.
Well, and you've demonstrated really well, right? That the ability to paint Marines at multiple different standards, levels, whatever you want to call it. You've smashed out best part of an army in a week before, and you've also won multiple Golden Demons with Marines. So it's scratching a lot of those itches, right? From a personal development point of view as well.
Yeah, I think so, definitely.
So yeah, it's a nice choice. Now, Matt, your choice was a very popular was echoed by many people in the Discord and on the Patreon.
It's gotta be orcs.
It has. I agree. I was very, very close to picking these instead of Chaos. Excellent.
I think Andy would kill himself.
What's your reason?
I like orcs.
I think they're just, for me, like, if I get very little time to do many projects that I want to do, so if I want to put all my creativity into just sort of like 1 or 2 things a year, and I think with orcs I could be the most creative. There's you can go super almost Space Marine-esque with their armor and everything, or you can just be mad on the other side with kit bashes galore. You're not really it's kind of what you were saying, it's one thing but there's so much stuff within it that's different that you can keep yourself entertained for a very long time.
I know there's no way for us to find out, but I would put money on it being orcs and Imperial Guard as the 2 things that are the most monogamy, that have the most monogamy hobbyists doing them. Orcs particularly. They're just happy. People that play and paint orcs are happy people. Right? They're still, go and paint this model. It's like, fuck yeah, I'm gonna go paint some orcs. I'm gonna glue these 14 things, just glue on my hand, shove it in my bits box. Oh, look, there's my new Gargant, whatever. It's they love it. They just love all of it.
Yeah, it's
Special
jealous.
people.
There's infinitely creative.
Yeah, it's interesting. We didn't really bring up creativity, did we, with the other elements? I suppose. Yeah, it's a good choice, that, Matt. It's a damn good choice. So, gun to your head, where are you seeing? Which era are you doing, or are you taking orcs the entirety that have ever been
Everything that GW's ever made.
That's a
Insert
green
other
skin.
manufacturers here as well that consider
Great.
orcs.
I think it's a really, really good. I think I said to Andy, was it this year or the start of last year? I was like, mate, I think I might just fucking play orcs from now. Just it. Just fucking do it. There's enough there. Just as you're saying, you've got Lord of the Rings, you've got Sigmar, you got Black
Big scale
Sailors,
stuff.
you got 40k, got Gorka Morka, greatest thing ever. Yeah.
I think the thing with them as well is like especially in this last couple of weeks, for me, with my painting, I need my creativity to bump up the coolness of my lacking painting. So I think that could be orcs would do that for me.
Nah, it's a lovely choice, man. I can't get rid of that box either. I've got it, and it's been in my eBay pile for a long time. I can't bring myself to do it. I think that's
I really want that box.
That's a good sign as well, right?
Yeah. I love that box. The new boys.
We said it when shortly after it came out, didn't we? That orc release was kind of just glossed over. And actually,
release.
It was bloody great. There was a couple of I would consider whoppers in there, but on the whole, like, just outrageous.
Is it a combat patrol box, or is it a getting started box?
It's the combat patrol, isn't it? That is getting started now. Yeah,
I would do that as a get. If suddenly for some bizarre reason everyone suddenly said, "I would definitely playing combat patrol." Not that it's ever going to fucking happen, but that would be a hell of a cool one to do.
I mean, you played with orcs at the weekend, dude. So
yeah, it's great. They're so dumb, but they're so fun.
This is it, right?
You enjoyed the shooting phase, didn't you?
Fuck me. I'm used to playing either Necrons or Space Marines and then get to a shooting phase, roll 50 dice looking for 5s.
It's the combat patrol. Yeah, it's the combat patrol.
Okay.
I think they offer the most creativity. Even if you don't paint the thing, like the kit bashing you can do is just ridiculous. I
mean, that's that's another interesting way of looking at it, isn't it? Because again, you've got Gundam, you've got military modeling, where the modeling is the hobby. But I guess ostensibly we're about painting. So so orcs came up a lot as people's suggestions.
Good choices.
One I can't remember, I forgot the person now. Literally just said Nazgob. He would just keep painting Nazgob again and again because miniatures have never got better. And I think there's an argument there that's entirely
Which
correct.
What's Nazgob?
It's the old orc shaman with the bone.
With the bone.
Right. Yeah, when Brian Nelson basically sculpted the best orc they'll ever be. Back in I
was going to say, what you need to do is get rich and then just hire Brian Nelson, pay him $1 million a year to sculpt you a new unit of orcs once a month, brand new.
Or anything. Then that'd be good. Like, let's be honest, the man's got hobby Midas touch, hasn't he?
But we said you've got to be a Monoga hobbyist, so you got to get rich.
So, you got to get Brian. So it's good bringing up, right? So a few people gave sculptors as their choice rather than a particular range. So Kev Adams came up. Lucas Pina came up quite a few times. People saying they could just be happy just to buy a Pina and paint that four times a year or whatever it is. I think. Well, whatever that's going to be going forwards.
I'd be like that for Carrasco.
A few different ranges. Yeah, Alan Carrasco came up as well, and then people just mentioned sort of just more generic ranges. So NECA Galaxy stuff, Moonstone, which is a skirmish game that's seeing a bit of a renaissance at the moment. Some ton of skirmish games also came up quite often. They were like, "Oh, I couldn't commit to one army, but Underworld sounds fun doing, this and this, or Warcry, not Warcry, Necromunda, or Kill Team, doing these many things might be a really fun way of doing it." And then and Guard pretty regularly. I kind of feel like the Guard players are just the same as the Orc players, but the Guard players aren't there for fun. This is getting it done.
I don't know.
They are just
when they get
there,
like
players are fun, mate.
I think when they're on the table, they're fun. You know, they have their 50,000 tanks that they've painted every rivet on.
I mean, I adore it. I'm absolutely there. Either of those people are hobby heroes.
I think the guard people, part of the story, I think, leans into a lot with guard people. It's that whole, like, in a universe of gods and monsters and all this, there's just a fucking dude with a flashlight and a shitty chest armor. Yeah, a torch and a paper mache armor stood in front of, like, a fucking Gorkanaut. Like, it's that part of it.
The best thing I've seen with guards was at a grand tournament in, like, 2016. I can't remember who it was, but the guy just had ranks and ranks and ranks of guards and tanks at the back, and he spaced the ranks out in such a way that none of the flyers' bases could get through. And like the guy on the other end was just like, well, he's just annihilating me into oblivion with these basilisks at the back. And it's just like, yeah, that's good.
But I do like it's not guard, but I like the other weekend I played a game of Heresy, and it was at this point I knew how lucky I was with my hobby group. I was like, I'm among the right people here. When my opponent Dan was just like, oh, just give me a second. I just need to move this squad of breaches around a little bit. What was left of them, and I was like, oh, that's why are you doing that, mate? You'll get more shots. Like if you do this, he was like, no, they're going into the shield wall, and that was how he was going to play them. And I like that idea with the guard players are like, no, it's form ranks, march forward. You're like, this it's not the best way of playing. It's like it's the correct way of playing. Just keep on going. Like right. I think there's a lot to be admired.
The orc equivalent of that is just charge.
Well, this is it. So,
like,
so doing that black
first turn,
yeah,
advance.
Doing the Black Templars stuff earlier. So like I went on various forums to try and get a feel about what was going on, and I think Black Templars players. There's a few issues, don't get me wrong, but I think large on the whole, they're basically the orcs of the Space Marine collectors. Again, it was all their tactics threads within about 3 comments. Someone was like, "Yeah, you're probably going to want to charge." Combat aircraft, get within charge range and then just get.
There was a guy that used to come down to our local that did orcs, and his army was just 2,000 points of orc boys, nothing else.
Beautiful. Yep. There's a guy at in one of the Bristol. What are they called? One of the Bristol gaming groups. I'm really sorry, Lee. They're a really good group as well. Search them, Bristol Game Group, lovely people. Who just has all the grots, all of them. And if anyone's stuck for a game, it's like, do you want to play the bucket of grots? They're in a bucket, and it's like on the right. Let's play settlements. It's like just having fun.
Love that. I saw a really good version of that. It was Typhus, and then as many poxwalkers as you could take at 1,500 points, because his buffs turned them. It's him and two sorcerers surrounded by 3 blocks of 50 poxwalkers, and it turned all the poxwalkers into like the same toughness and strength as Space Marine.
I mean that feels slightly less fun, but still looks cool.
I feel like amazing.
Maybe those 2 people were coming at it from a different,
probably
different angle. Right, before we go off chatting too much about all that side, are there going to be any Dare God orcs in the future? Yes, we've got one planned. And more goblins, but we do have 1 orc planned.
You have to let me know when those come out.
we think he's going to be pretty. Cool. But we need to get Range 2 out in June or whenever it is this year. So we'll talk about that again soon. Incidentally, it's the first thing we've done. MPO sold out in 48 hours, which is amazing. And you lot are incredible. And there's a waiting list. If you want to go on it, email me, and we'll chat more about it nearer the time with things that are coming. You lot are awesome. Your support's outrageous, and we're already planning for next year as well now. So thank you very much for that. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about with regards to this Monoga hobby thing?
Yes.
Go for it.
I think for me, and I don't know if anyone's the same, but the armies you fall in love with when you're young or first discover the hobby are the ones that you can do forever. And I'm kind of the same with everything. What I fell in love with as a kid is all I care about now, and that's video games, miniatures, that. And yeah, I loved Eldar when I was a kid, loved Wood Elves, and that's what I like now. And I think probably for most of us, yeah, that kind of love you form when you're a kid is what makes you stick to an army. And I think you can get a real love for characters, like, you know, I love Asriel and Dante, and that's what would make me want to stick to something now, really. I think that's super important. Personally, that's for me anyway.
Nostalgia, you're sort of saying in a way.
Yeah, nostalgia, but I just think you form a love for an army, and I still love my favorite armies when I was 10 are still my favorite armies now, is what I'm saying. And those would if I was going to do just one army, it would be informed by what I loved at that age, I think. And I think many people would probably be the same, because the ones you like best, then you read into more, you read about the characters, and then you form that kind of love for them, right?
So really quickly, because this is a convo you and me have had several times off air, as it were. I've redone my Ultramarines 3 times so far, and I kind of want to do them again. And you've said to me, "Oh, I couldn't once one and done. Like once it's done, move on," kind of thing like that. Where does that fit in with what you're saying, with sort of the reason you sort of fall in love with it?
Now, I could do Ultramarines again. I could do 2 Ultramarine armies. I could do a modern take on Ultramarines that I quite fancy doing, like a really battle damage faded blue. I'd do that. But then I'd also do a 2nd edition one with loads of red and goblin green. I'd happily do both of those. Super modern, super realistic weathering, and then super old school. Like, I like those different styles, and I'd happily do those.
Another thing Marines is giving you in it, or I suppose Warhammer in general is giving you, right? You can do your through the ages collections.
Exactly. That would get me.
Just to say, for me, for alphas, it's the same. I could do like almost like the heresy version, like when they were still loyalists. You could do like the evil version when the color, the armor color had changed a little bit and a bit spikier. Definitely.
Picking a thread, isn't it, and seeing it through. That's something I'm going to be talking about in some videos coming up soon on the YouTube channel. Actually, sort of campaigning, as it were, but from a hobbying point of view. But let's close it out then. Let's have a look at what the paint cultists have been up to. But I hope that was at least an interesting discussion. I don't really feel any more settled at the end of it all than I did writing up the notes and going into it. I'm not really sure what I was going to get out of it as a combo, but I do think, particularly as we're just fucking bombarded with stuff at the moment, and are all getting older and are all got generally less time. I do kind of feel like it's reaching a point now where it's got to be a bit more, no, you are never fucking going to do that Dark Eldar project. Stop being a dick.
What about when the new Dark Eldar come out?
And there we go. The worst part, I was trying to find some slides for the Napoleonics thing. Never in my entire life has Napoleonics interested me. Like, not one iota. I've tried because my friends are into it. Like, I just doesn't jive.
Get new friends.
And then I looked at one photo, one of the ones I used, and I was like, "Oh, that's a really cool looking scene on the table." And I was like, "Fuck right." Delete.
The thing I like about historicals is it gives me the perspective of what other people must think when they look at me doing Warhammer. They must be like, "Oh, that looks really lame," and it allows me to empathise with them.
That's your way of gaining empathy and whatnot.
Oh, that's what normal people must think when we do Warhammer. Oh.
Well, let's have a look at what other real people have been doing with Warhammer. So #PaintCultists. It's a hashtag, but it's also a channel on our Discord. Instagram seems to have got a little less fucky at the moment, so you can enjoy it a little bit more with the hashtags. In the sense of, if you search for the hashtag, you're getting to see loads of stuff again now, rather than just the top 9 or whatever it was for quite a while. And there have just been some absolutely outstanding posts made by people both in the Discord and or using the hashtag. So all I do each show is just nab a few, chuck them up, and we have a quick ogle at them. And this was the first, this bust. Quite a few people incidentally said busts as their thing. Like they reckon they could just do busts for the rest of forever.
No fucking mind.
How cool is this? It's meant to be in the style of some famous director. Their sort of color palettes and things like that.
Wicked. I love the jacket, like the collar and shoulder, the way how chunky the highlights are, and it is wicked.
David Fincher.
There we go. And it's another one of those when people go, "Oh, is miniature painting art?" You go, "Yeah, there you go." Like, gosh,
this account's wild. To be fair, he's always putting out bangers. And hope they come to the MPO. Actually, they entered the online one and had loads of cool stuff. But yeah, just hit their stride. I feel this painter.
I love it. Could look at this for ages, but we've already been waffling. So next,
oh yeah,
I think we're probably going to see quite a lot of Kroot for the next few months.
Yeah,
and if they look like this, that's fine by me.
Well, at least we had our first duffer. That's going
which one were
tempt me
you
to
mad
paint
on?
it.
Which one weren't you keen on?
The gecko cat thing.
Okay.
Yeah, the one it looks like an what's it called? Oxotl?
Axolotl?
Axolotl, yeah. Basically, axolotl, whatever it's called. That with the Kroot on it. It were the salamander. It was pants.
Interesting.
I was like, phew, I don't want that one. That's good. Cool. That's
I like that one.
Good.
Up until that point, I was like, I want to do a Kroot army. I want to do a Kroot army. And I saw that one. It actually made me go, do I want to do a Kroot army?
I quite like it.
It's really helpful.
I'm with you, Matt. I like that one. So we're 50-50 on that one. I like the ultimate.
Where's the
one
Krootox?
Yeah, no.
Krootox.
Well, it's the Narlock. Is it not? Yeah, that's what I think we were expecting, weren't we? Narlocks and Great Narlocks, but we'll see.
Axolotl.
There we
That's what it's fucking called. It looks like an axolotl.
But Andy,
I guess it bums me out
about
if we
wanting
don't
to
get
do
Narlocks.
this, right? You've been, agreed, right? There's no unit coming. You've spoken for ages about, I'd love to do basically exactly this with that Kroot kill team, right? Just a tiny little vignette with these guys.
ABD now, though. That's the thing.
Lots of people. I mean, Harry, one of our commission painters, fantastic painter, Argle Tal on Instagram. He's been banging out some great looking Kroot recently. I think we're going to see some special stuff, and I can't wait. I also can't wait just to have a go at one.
Just needs a longer tail.
I still want to do some. But...
You want a longer tail? What, on the dog or on the Kroot?
The Kroot thingy, the whatever it's called,
Kroot
the
hound. Kroot hound.
Yeah,
and mate, if you give it a longer tail, it looks remarkably like my dog. So especially this week. But yeah, I wonder if they kept the story the same, where they're all Kroot and they've just evolved different ways. There used to be one, wasn't it? They'd eat stuff and go. Yeah. And then they
some develop wings because they eat loads of birds.
They're like Pokemon.
Possibly. That's pretty great. Right, what's that next?
Very cool though. Sorry, we diverged. That was a really good model.
Amazing, right? It's wonderful.
These little vignettes are wicked.
It's just absolutely nailed it.
Oh yeah.
Speaking of powerful Scandinavian hobby, this is from the recent Dogma Finland. I think we're going to get Puddy on to chat about Dogma very, very soon. I was talking to him the other day. Just something I massively admire, and just how cool is this? Yeah. It's just, I don't know what's going on.
I was literally going about to ask that without sounding like an absolute knobhead.
No idea, mate. But it's wonderful.
Is it
I want it on the shelf
or something?
So Dogma, really, really sort of quickly, the guys come together. There's a theme, and they have 48 hours to create something. And this is what this person came up with. It's a bunch of owls. I don't know, but I like it a lot.
It's provocative.
It's provocative, yeah. But yeah, I'm just
people
well
go.
keen on that. It just hits me in the right place. I just need to go move to fucking Sweden or somewhere. Right, one or two more, I think, Matt.
Two more.
Oof.
Wow.
Yeah. Keep doing this. Just great.
That's
Very
mental.
active in the Discord. This person. Yeah, looks like a fly strip. Yeah, it does look a bit like a sticky fly strip thing. Oh, they're in the
Yeah,
chat.
birch.
Yeah,
I
did want to, like
I
birch
thought it was
bark.
birch
Yeah,
bark.
yeah, it's a good shout.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
Nice.
lovely.
I
So
thought it was
yeah,
plasterboard.
I got
so
it.
this person does
I got it.
just does bunch of busts and things like that. And again, this I can't remember what the name is for this. Is it a relief? No, a freeze? I don't know. This, whatever it is you call
They're
it.
in the chat too.
Oh, here we go.
Well done.
You can tell us what it's called. But yeah, I love it. Love. This is the kind of thing I want to see people displaying more, showing off more, and getting everyone possible into the hobby.
At the MPO.
Yeah. Yes, please. That would be fab. Right, and one more.
It is a piece of drywall. Knew it.
Plinths are so last year, mate. It's old building material now. Right, last slide.
Yeah.
And this was painted for his mum, so automatically it gets featured. Painting stuff for people you love is very cool.
Plus, it's a critter, so it's like
impressed.
crack for you.
Well, I mean, obviously, it's a criticism. You know, what's going on. I thought I was very restrained, actually, not talking about that and taking the main topic seriously, rather than just saying the picture. And we haven't even featured the goose or hashtag model of the year 2024. You'll see all the owls at the MPO. Excellent. Oh, you come in. That'd be amazing if you are. I'd love to see that piece. Yeah, we've got a few people flying in for MPO, which is pretty amazing. So we'll
It's that convenience of Bristol Airport, pal. Flying into the field.
Attached to the fucking train station. Now, we'll talk a lot more about MPO near the time. We'll talk about what's going to be going on the days, what's going to be going on in the evenings, meetups, all that sort of thing. Don't worry, we'll make sure we look after you all for the weekend. It's very much us hosting you. So yeah, beautiful miniature. Paint it for your mum. Can't go wrong. I do think painting something for someone else is I really enjoy doing it anyway. I've done it for a few raffles, which is a bit more nebulous, but I've also just done it for friends, and it's a ton of fun. I can definitely recommend it. And they have to say they like it. So, it's not like, oh, here's your receipt, take it back if you don't. They've actually got to tell you they love it. So, anything you wanted to add, boys, before we sign off?
Don't think so.
No.
I know, Todd, it's 20 hours away. Fair play. I'm pretty sure you're winning the longest travelled for MPO. Fucking Brisbane. But it's a
your fault for living in Australia.
It's a hell of an effort. Well, yeah, I mean, don't. You'll be good. Yeah, maybe we need an update on that sooner than later, actually. There's been a few not frequently asked questions, but there's been a couple of questions, and there's no stupid questions, right? So thank you very much for watching. If you're joining us live, if you're watching this back, the usuals: like, subscribe, shares, makes a big difference to smaller channels like ours. If you want to get in touch with a topic idea or something you'd like us to feature, an account or anything, then you can reach out to us, all the usual places. We're Cult of Paint on all of them. Nothing you guys wanted to add? Nope.
All good.
Right. Good. You're awesome. So hopefully we'll be back in 2 weeks with the next show. We'll certainly be back with another one as soon as we possibly can. Try and keep it on track for season 4. Episode 4, season 4. 2 months into the year. I think we're doing all right, eh? I can live with that. Right. Thanks, chaps. Thanks, chat. Take care. We'll see you next time.